Investors are chasing high income like never before. But with so many covered call ETFs popping up, how do you know which one is worth your money? Today we're putting two heavy hitters head to head, ULTY and CHPY, or ULTY versus CHPY. Both promise high yields and regular payouts, but which one actually delivers the best balance of income and performance? Let's find out. Welcome back to Simply Money. Thank you for joining me today. First, I want to give a shout out to all our new subscribers. I appreciate you joining us, and your support means so much to us. Thank you, and let's get started today looking at ULTY versus CHPY. Now, there's a lot of talk about ULTY. I've had a lot of comments. I've watched a lot of videos. There are people who absolutely love ULTY. I know some people who are all in, literally their entire portfolio. Now, I don't recommend that, but everybody's going to have to make their own choice. Before we get started, remember, this is for informational and educational purposes only. This is not financial advice. I'm not telling you to buy or not buy anything. This is just strictly me sharing with you back-testing data, showing you what one fund versus another fund has done in the past, and we don't know what the future holds. Keep that in mind. Let's look at ULTY versus CHPY. Now, I've picked the dates of when both of them were active. ULTY started a little bit before, but then its weekly dividends started paying out about 4 to 5 weeks before CHPY began. I used CHPY's first dividend date and corresponded that with ULTY, so we have the same starting point. I know that's not perfect. There's no perfect way to do this. We're just giving a quick example. You can go ahead and backtest ULTY all the way to the beginning when it was paying monthly if you'd like, but I try to keep it so we're looking at comparisons of similar time frames and similar situations. Okay, ULTY, looking at April 17th, had a price of $5.90. Now, I know people are going to say, oh, you cherry pick that. No, again, I used the date where CHPY had come on board. We're going to use that date for whatever it's worth to you as a viewer. I appreciate you following along, and if you find this useful, hit that like and subscribe button. It does help the channel out. And give me feedback. Anything you can say, comments, giving me suggestions, ways to improve videos, ideas of other videos you'd like. That all helps us get more information out to other people, and topics that you'd like to see, not just funds that you like comparing. I love doing these. This has probably been some of my favorite videos I've been doing recently, these comparisons. But I love doing other types of videos too, and I want to make sure I'm meeting the needs of all of my Simply Money subscribers. And I know that some of you will watch these videos and you won't watch the other ones. That's fine. I hope that I'm producing enough quality of different things that you find what you like, and that you can hit those playlists and those types of videos. And I'll try to hit everything for those that are looking for other things like budgeting as well. Now let's run down. I like going down each column a little bit and then skip around. Let's just look at ULTY's price right here, column B. In April, we're starting at $5.90. We got up into the $6.30 range. Everybody was, oh, ULTY's great. Look at it. It climbed. Look, guys, I'm telling you, if you're taking 1 or 2 months and you're saying, wow, this is a great fund or not a great fund, that's not how you do it. Markets swing so fast. One day they can drop. It can change just by a news cycle. Anything can make it up or down. You have to look at the fundamentals. You have to look at some underlying things and see what it is. You have to know what you're buying and why you're buying it. If you don't, do some due diligence, dig into it a little bit, and don't just hop on the hype train. I'm sharing this so you can see what it's done, so you can try to make the best educated decision available. We're going to look down. It started dropping in July and then into August and now into September. As of today, when I'm recording this, which is September 26th, I'm not sure when this will post, but it closed at $5.47. So it's been down quite a bit, and this was the distribution day. We're going to look at how many shares we had at $5.90 on this hypothetical scenario, backtesting it. We're using $50,000. I know some people are like, well, not everybody can invest $50,000. I get that. You could do this with $10, and the outcome's going to be the same. It's showing how it's grown. I just like taking a significant number that's not crazy. I'm not going to do $1 million, but a significant number that you can see the impact of things, positive and negative, on your investment, whether you dollar cost average or you just bought lump sum. So we're investing $50,000. That bought us 8,474 shares. Our first distribution was 9 cents. Our dividend payout, this dividend payment times this number of shares gives us the dividend that we received of $720. We were able to buy 122 more shares. We're looking first at if we're dripping both of these, comparing them both with just buying more of the same share. That brings your total shares up to 8,596 and your balance up to 50,720. Let's look down as we go down our shares, column C. As you can see, as we keep buying more and more shares, we're up to 12,247 shares. That's a lot of shares that we've gained. 3,979 new shares by reinvesting. And this is just in a little about 6 months that we've done that. That's huge. Now let's look at the dividend payments. Since April, it was 9 cents, went to 8 cents, got up to 12, 10, 11. Here it was doing really well. It's come back down to 9, then it hopped up to 10 for a while. It had like 8 in a row of 10 cents, and then it's now back down to 9 cents. But that's pretty consistent. The lowest was 8, the highest was 12, but everything else has basically been 9 or 10 cents for this entire period. So that's a pretty nice dividend. And this is where people think, oh, look at your share price, it's dropping, it's down 7.29%. Yes, and you have to understand how that is, why this is important, and how to navigate through that. You're not getting this for growth, you're getting this for income, whether you're reinvesting it to buy more shares, to grow your share value so then you can get a higher income down the road, or however you approach it. You have to understand this is for income, but you don't have to reinvest it all and you don't have to take it all. You can find a happy medium in there, and we can look at those scenarios. You can see in another video I've done where I show if you drip it all, or if you only drip 50%, or if you don't drip any of it, and what the different outcomes are. And everybody's going to be in a different place and have different goals of why they're using a fund like this. But I love that consistency. I love that consistency with ULTY. That's one great thing about it. With that consistency, let's look at how our dividend has grown. It went from $720 on a 9-cent dividend. This big 12-cent dividend, we got up to 1,044. But now we're back down to 9 cents per dividend. But look how many more shares we have. Now we're getting $1,100, $1,000, $1,100, $1,200 dividends weekly. Now, again, these are weekly dividend payments. We're not getting this once a month or once a quarter. We're getting this every week with this scenario. Over the course of this time here, you have received $23,606 in dividends that you have reinvested and gained almost 4,000 more shares. That's where that is. You can see our balance started at 50,000 that we bought in. It grew. We never went below our balance. By reinvesting, we never got below our initial balance. We're up $17,000 in 6 months. I don't know about you, but a $50,000 investment making $17,000 of unrealized gains, because that's what this is, because you haven't sold it, $17,000 in 6 months, I'm really happy with that. If I did that every 6 months, think about that. A year, that's $34,000. That's 68% return in 1 year. That's incredible, guys. All this talk about ULTY sucks, and I get the NAV eroding concerns, but you have to understand, you can balance your NAV by reinvesting some of this and keeping your balance. And there's a good video that I have, you can check it out on the channel, talking about what NAV erosion is and how these ultra high dividend paying funds, how they use that and what you can do to mitigate that. That is ULTY. Now let's look over at CHPY. I've heard people say CHPY's way better. So let's see, we're comparing this. Same thing, we're starting on April 17th and we're at $48.26 per share. That got us 1,036 shares. First dividend was 36 cents. It's paying a much higher dividend because the share price is much higher. You're going to see this looking a lot higher, but you have a lot fewer shares. You only have 1,000 shares, so your first dividend payment is only $376 versus $720. CHPY is a dividend payer weekly, but it's not as high of a yield as ULTY. But let's see how it did. Let's look first of all the share price. We come down, you can see we got up to $54.79 and it started dropping a little bit. Now we're back up in August. In September, we're up to 55.55. For CHPY in the 6 months, it's had a share price gain of 15.11%. Again, that's really nice. If that was a 1 year, that would be 30% gain on your share price. So nothing to complain about there. You see that your shares, you've gained quite a few. You've gained 204 shares. So that brings your total. I'm sorry, that's wrong. I'm going to fix that here. Okay, I fixed that. That's your total shares there. You can see that our share gain is 204. Now let's look at the dividend price to see how consistent it is. We have 36, 35, have a 62. That was a nice jump, but then it's back down to the 38. We have 40, see 41, 42. Pretty much, again, pretty consistent. We have an outlier here of 62 cents. The rest are between, 35 and 41 cents or 42 cents there. So it's very consistent. You see your dividend payments. Again, they had some increase, not as fast as ULTY because you're not gaining the number of shares and getting the higher payout that ULTY has. But starting at 376, we're ending at $513, $508 a week. Again, not bad off a $50,000 investment, getting $500 a week of payment, plus your share value has gone up 15%. So that's really nice. And that brings your total dividends that you received and reinvested to $10,789. Again, that gives you your 204 shares that you've added. CHPY balance at the end is $68,000, $18,556 increase. So you're actually up with CHPY by doing dividend reinvesting. If you're not taking the income, you're reinvesting. In this short period, 6 months, CHPY is up by 1,153. On my charts, the red on this difference is if the first fund I show over here, which on this one it's ULTY, if it's up, it'll be positive. If it's down, it'll be negative. ULTY was pretty much holding strong ahead right up until this last month where it's seen a little bit of its price drop in this last week or so. If you took this last week out and went back here, ULTY is actually up by $656. It's been pretty close. You can see up here, it got up by $4,300. If I'm looking at both these funds, performance-wise, again, short time frame, 6 months, it's been pretty equal with a dividend reinvesting. We're talking a $1,000 difference. CHPY's gained a little bit more in share price appreciation. ULTY paid more in dividends that you reinvested. So which one do you like better on that? Leave me a comment down below. If you had to pick between these two, CHPY or ULTY, dripping, which one would you take and why? And everyone's going to have different reasons. Share those down below. Now let's look at we don't drip. We're taking these distributions. Now, again, when I say taking the distributions, I simply mean you're not buying more of the shares of the fund. You're not buying more ULTY. You're not buying more CHPY. You might invest them into some other fund, that's fine, but you're taking the distribution and using them elsewhere. What we're doing here, you have your $50,000 investment, you're getting your dividend, you're going to see that it's not going to increase as much because you got your number of shares that you bought with your $50,000 and it stays the same all the way down. Your shares times the dividend payment will differ and they're not going to grow exponentially because you're not gaining more shares on either one of these. You can see with ULTY, again, it starts at $730, but down at the end when we're up to the $1,100, $1,200, we're still at $700, $800. Again, not bad. Weekly, getting that every week over 6 months, you have received almost $20,000 that you've taken out in distributions. Now, your share price, where people freak out saying, look how much it's dropped, your share price, you've lost $3,697. You're still at $47,000. Will this go up? I don't know. We're waiting to see. A lot of speculation on what is ULTY going to climb back up toward the $6 mark, or is it going to keep dropping? Everybody's speculating. We shall see. And we'll continue doing these types of comparisons to see how it does against itself and against other funds. The ULTY no drip, nice, consistent, $700, $800, couple nicer, little bit bigger payments, but pretty much $700, $800 every week going on and on and on because of the consistency. And meanwhile, your share value is pretty much held just under where it was. And this could fluctuate back and forth. A few weeks back here, we're up to 52,000. So we're ahead. we're down a little bit now. You can look back, it's just come up and it's gone down. Will it keep going up or down? We don't know. Now let's look at CHPY. Same thing. You have your $50,000. You bought your 1,036 shares. And you're going to get the dividend payment times that number of shares all the way down. You're not getting more shares. You can see that your dividend that you get paid is at $378. And then again, it stays pretty consistent other than this one outlier right here, $650. You're looking at $378 to $400, low 400s, come all the way down, still low 400s, high 300s. Very consistent between $380 and $420, give or take for the most part. Every week, your share price has gone up that 15%, and you have the same number of shares. So you've increased your value by $7,610, plus you've received $9,945. If you want a fund that's going to possibly preserve a little bit more of the underlying value, but still pay out a really nice, healthy distribution, maybe CHPY's the way to go. Maybe you want the ULTY higher payment. You don't care about the lower price because you can buy more shares to increase that dividend down the road. And so you're going with ULTY, and maybe you reinvest some of the distribution to help keep your balance around that $50,000. Everyone's going to have different reasons. With no drip, taking the distribution 100%, which one do you like better? Leave it in the comments below. I like ULTY better. I like CHPY better. This is why. Give me your reasons. Let's have a nice dialogue in the community down below. I appreciate you watching the video. And if you have other funds that you'd like to see comparisons to, please share those. That's where I'm getting these ideas for. I have funds that I compare for my own personal reasons, for my decisions, what I'm going to invest in, or just for research purposes. But if I'm doing a video, I want to do what you guys want to watch, what you guys want to see. So please hit that in the comments. Let me know. Even if you don't want to comment anything, just leave me a thumbs up, a heart, or something. It really does help the logarithms and helps us get more videos out to more people. Thank you for joining me, and we'll see you next time on Simply Money.